I wonder.
Good.
Yes.
All right, why don't we get started? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Everybody. All right, let's see. I think. All right, do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on anything in there?
I have a question on number 5. I don't know if you want to talk about it before
Yeah.
we talk about it.
Well, this is the right time to talk, so.
Okay. It looks like we just pushed the final date out and changed the daily rate or weekly rate, not sure which.
So it's actually for two different functions. She was in covering for Cheryl as the clerk for one pay rate and doing some mentoring and training for the new positions in the business office at a different pay rate. So this is a pay rate for her to train the new tax collector. So she separated time.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with wait. I was just curious if it's cleaner to have a new contract because this one's still dated from January through December.
We did January through December because it was the tax season, so we don't anticipate needing her services beyond December of this calendar year.
I understand that.
So
It's just that she's got a contract now for a different rate than she's been paid for the last 11 months. That's effective for the entire year. It's not a problem. Not a problem. Just asking.
I think it was the effective rate for two different jobs, though.
Okay.
Running concurrently from July to December. Where are you seeing January?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. July.
Okay, yeah, because she literally separated time.
Yep.
For the two different positions that she was doing. So this is going back to that training rate for the business office positions for the tax collector through December. But the days that she worked for Cheryl, she was paid at the other rate that she was approved at. I mean, it's.
Fine. It seems a little messy to me, but.
Okay. Any other questions or comment on any of the items in the consent? All in favor? Any against? Okay. The next is to accept the audit reports, report plus, additions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns about any of those, any of the, files? Or any of the reports, really? The only thing that I was, when they mentioned the 75 that we have in the food services budget, does that carry us through the rest of the year? Like, can we leave that excess there so we don't end up having to move money later on to cover if it's necessary?
So if I read it, if I'm remembering it correctly, that was the year-end number. We've already started spending that number down as part of the
Okay.
spend down plan we submitted last year. So the actual, like the today number is less already than
Okay.
that number was.
No, yeah, that's what I was hoping, is that 75 could, continue to cover services. Okay. Anything else? All in favor? Against? Okay, in new business, we have the electric and gas alliance contract. Do I have a motion to approve or accept, I should say?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, questions, comments, anything regarding this?
Yes, we currently have them? Is
Yes.
that current?
Yes, sir. This is basically a renewal essentially of the existing agreement we have. They sent us another update even today showing what the savings would be versus just using Central Hudson as our supplier.
Right.
So at this time, it seems to make fiscal sense to continue saving. At the current today rate, our projected per annum savings for the current year is just north of $3,500 in utility costs.
Well, have we saved money in the past? Is there, we have a chart showing that it's paid for us to do this?
I'll have to check the metrics of like all the historical billing and stuff, because I think, John, did we do that as part of our benchmarking? Do you remember?
Yes.
We have that?
Yep.
So we can look into that. Yep, we can look into that.
It's probably more just the rate, because, I mean, you really can't tell with, you know, degree days without tearing all that stuff, but the rates should be something that we can, you know, if we went standard by ourselves, what would the rate be? And then what's the rate within Mega?
We have been coming on the budget, on the budget line,
Mhm.
so the last 2 years, so I've been
Yep.
doing, I've been going, and we've been coming on the, and we know extra money, so. The
Yeah, it was
price
just-
increases and everything,
Just, I mean, it's more of, like, how we doing? You know, are they really delivering for us? On it, cause these guys, do these guys also do if we buy materials, are they the same ones that do that? The ones that the consortium is
That's
saying?
Oh, yeah, that's on me. That's different.
Okay,
This is just for Constellation to provide our electric as our energy provider, and it's still delivered by Central Hudson.
Now, I only bring this up because in the town of Clinton, which part of the town of Clinton is in the Millbrook Central School District, the provider went belly up, and again, I hope there's a state, I hope there's a performance bond, because the town is gonna be on the hook for a lot of money, because they orchestrated this. So it's the only reason I really bring these up. I've heard good and bad about these. If we have saved money in the past, that's great. I mean, then we continue, but it's, you know, as good or bad as Central Hudson may be, they're not going anyplace so quickly, and a lot of these consortiums do.
yeah. So is Clinton using Mega as their,
I don't know who they're using now, because I don't know who took the place, the town. I forget the name, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but the previous one did, go bankrupt.
so what's the, do we need to hold this, or do you wanna see follow-up?
No, if,
It's a,
well, when's the contract need to be signed by? That's the main thing.
Looking for the date here. The last available. Let's return. It was a November to November contract, so 11/27 was the expiry, is the
Yeah, it's the
expiration date.
expiration. Well, we can take a vote on it. These things are up and down and all around, and if we've had it and we've been happy, supposedly happy, but I would like to see, at least on the public site, on the agenda, moving forward on the agendas, at least we show some kind of a graph with savings and,
yeah, if you
hopefully
guys,
savings.
if you guys can, it's probably, because again, with degree days, you can't really say, well, last year we burned 2,000 gallons, this year we burned 5, but we saved money. But if we had something that just says, you know, here's the rates from November to November, that's what we would have paid straight with Central Hudson, and then what we would pay, or what we did pay with these guys, or are paying, or.
so you actually have the last 5 years of benchmarking, went through all the,
Yeah, when you did the BOC training, so I'll follow up tomorrow and I'll get the next report.
All right, so if you can just ask Cheryl, they put that on the agenda for the next, Any other questions or comments about that? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay. I think, is it vice president report? I'm gonna ask, Caroline to talk about Dutchess County School Board, because I had to bail out at the last minute. I did, attend this performance-based assessment, meeting with Lower Westchester BOCES, Dutchess County BOCES, was last night. It was a very interesting presentation on, basically, they try to run their high school like a college campus. They don't do testing per se. They do, you have to form an experiment, you have to come in and justify it, but the bottom line was they handpick their kids from all of New York City, the ones that they bring into this school. They, if a kid can't cut it, they just send them back to, public school. It was, like I said, for some extremely talented kids, it looks amazing. It definitely would prepare them for college. The problem is, what do you do if they're failing, if in a public school? And we'd almost have to build like a separate building to have this PBAT, is what they kept calling it, this PBAT school, as sort of an optional school. Now they're continuing to push on getting rid of regents, getting rid of the test, common testing. They're pushing for, as a school district that, from within New York City, they're pushing to do that. Whether they're going to be successful or not, I don't know. But it was interesting. It was interesting to see they had some of the kids videoed as to, they were justifying, almost doing like a dissertation defense. And they had experts from the local area come in and challenge these kids. But it's, I don't know how it would be possible, in a public school, but it was interesting to hear that part. But yeah, that's all I have. I don't know if any of you were able to make the Thorn building update this past weekend. They're continuing the push. They've got some incredibly talented people that are part of the committee or the board of this thing. They actually opened part of the park, but they're definitely something we need to keep our eye on, as possibilities for digital design, culinary arts. I mean, if they're able to do what they're saying, I think they could be a very important part of our district, or our district plans as we move forward. But that's all I had. Chris, you have anything?
I just wanted to congratulate the girls varsity volleyball team for winning tonight, and good luck in the next game. And I did want to thank Coach Stoliker for not only coaching the varsity team this year, but also JV. Took a lot of time, and it's appreciated.
Absolutely.
When is the next game,
Saturday.
Saturday?
Yep, so
Where?
today was the regional semifinals. Saturday will be the regional finals, and we believe that it will be played in Long Island.
Okay.
Caroline's driving.
Yeah.
Other than the I believe so. They haven't gotten the official word yet, but they believe it will be in the.
Hopefully it's in the morning, just off the LIE. There's nothing quite as nice as that.
Who doesn't love it?
All right, superintendent's report.
Yeah, so I definitely echo what Chris said. Congratulations to the girls. I did make it to the game on this past Saturday at O'Neill High School across the river. They played excellent during that game. and tonight as well. So, they are on their way back. I did invite them to stop in and see us all. So we'll see what time they actually get back to campus. So, from an instructional perspective, we have started the observations, throughout all the different buildings. Administrators will be visiting all the classrooms, evaluating the teaching and finding some common themes for professional development for the future. As you are aware, the math and ELA professional development continues in all the buildings, and I'm sure Dr. Watkins will mention that we had a meeting today about some professional development for our special education teachers as well, some targeted professional development there. Two of our buildings have been trained in the collaborative problem-solving method from Dr. Ross Green, so that will start to be rolled out as a proactive solution to behaviors in the classroom and in the buildings. So the other buildings are not far behind, but they had scheduled dates that were staggered, so that's coming. I know that John will speak to the fire inspections, the results from the fire inspections, but we have had our health inspections and our fire inspections, they are completed. And I will let John give you some of the good news when he does his report. We've had our pre-K grants that have been finalized and all of our funds have been allocated. So there are some updates in the way we have to submit those grants and the way we have to prepare for those grants in the future. So it's really an internal thing, but we will have to be providing details on how we will create a lottery system should our enrollment or our interest be higher than the number of students that we can service. We're not currently in that situation, but we do have to prepare for that. We do have to create a plan for a lottery and submit it to the state anyway. So we'll have to do that. We'll also have to do an RFP. So we'll have to actually design what it is that we're seeking, and we will have to put it out there for the community partners, any of the preschools in the area to be able to bid on and see. It could be true that no one is interested in partnering with us because they only get they only get $5,400 per child. So that's not really enough to educate them. So it could be true that we don't have a community partner interested in doing it, and then we would just proceed as normal. But those are things that we will be asked to do this coming year that previously we have not had to. So in addition to the girls volleyball team having great success, we also have one of our cross-country athletes, Dylan Vasquez. He qualified for the New York State meet that will be this coming Saturday. So he placed 8th in the meet this past weekend. So with that, he will be headed off to states to compete next weekend coming. The athletic department also contacted me about a couple of different things. So our high school athletic department, Al, essentially will be filing the paperwork for a mixed competition team for our winter competition cheer program. So anytime you have males and females competing in the same sport, there is a form that has to be filled out. So typically how it is governed under the Title IX is anytime there's not a comparable sport for males and females in the same season. So like a good example is like softball, baseball, right? They're the similar sports. So in this case, we don't have a male cheerleading team. We have a cheerleading team. So if males would like to participate, you have to file this paperwork with this section. So that is being done because we do have some interest for students to participate. So we're doing that. And one of the things that we had discussed is it seems very outdated that this is even a process, right? But it is. So we're doing that. Additionally, we have 2 potential mergers. At this point in time, we don't have enough girls to field a softball team. And so we might be looking at merging with Weebatuck, them hosting, because there's only a handful of girls at this point that want to continue to play if it is a merged team, because we don't have enough kids internally to play. So we'll be looking at a merger for softball, and actually just recently, Weebatuck has approached us to ask if there are very few students that they have interested in the winter indoor track, if they would be able to compete with us. Our coaches are on board, but it is a really late timeline. So Al is going to file the paperwork with the section and see if they approve it. We have just enough time to get it on the next board agenda, should that be possible. to permit those kiddos to play with, to compete with us. So basically how it would work is they would have a coach and they would train at Weebatuck, but then when it comes time to compete, they would go with our students and our team. It won't prevent any of the Millbrook students who are interested in participating, but we do have a couple of spaces on our roster, so our coaches were willing to give these other students an opportunity if the section and everything pans out. So that could be coming your way at the next meeting. Also recently, our Millbrook Middle School congratulated their new student government officers. So we have Johnny Jacob, president, Kevin Prince and Bemi, vice president, Justin Loibel, treasurer, Adriana Chowdhury is our secretary, and we have Senate spaces for the 6th and 7th graders. So we have Evelyn Leases, Harvey Ryan for 6th grade, and Evan Discoli and Mia Sullivan for the 7th graders. Our Junior Interact is holding its annual Thanksgiving food drive at the middle school. So if there's any shelf-stable foods that people can donate or personal hygiene items, you can bring them into your home base. Your child can bring them into home base, and they'll be collected there by the Junior Interact advisors. We had a super exciting Halloween parade at the middle school. I think the big hit was Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce came. Mr. and Mrs. Barnes dressed up as, they're huge. That was pretty funny. They dressed up as that. And a really special thank you to the businesses in the community for drive students. So our students were able to parade through town and they were given little treats along the way. So it was really awesome for the businesses to be willing to do that for our kiddos. We had some student services activities. We had mobile ed came and did some STEAM activities. I'm sure Mr. Lipka will mention, exploring different aspects of engineering. And then the School Counseling Advisory Council met this past Monday and went over the counseling plan for the year. We have our annual Veterans Breakfast and recognition at Millbrook Middle School on November 9th. That's Mr. Joe Carbone's annual event that he does. It's really nice, it's wonderful, and it certainly is a nice way to honor the retired military in our area. And on December 8th, the junior and senior classes will be sponsoring the Harlem Wizard basketball game. So they will be playing against our faculty and staff. Probably won't be much of a game because they're the Harlem Wizards and well, we're not professional basketball players, but it will be fun. It will be entertaining. And it'll be a great way to raise some funds for the junior and senior class. So all are invited to attend. Tickets can be purchased in advance at harlemwizards.com, and tickets will actually be more expensive at the door. So it makes sense to go ahead and do that in advance. And I believe that is all I have, except for the Dutchess County School Board's meeting from this past Thursday. As Perry had mentioned, I did attend. There were a couple of guest speakers, one from the Mid-Hudson School Studies Council. So that's representation and partnership with the local colleges and school districts. So it's higher ed as well as the K-12 educational institutions in the area. And what the Mid-Hudson School Studies Council does is they provide not just a lot of award ceremonies and recognition, but they also provide a lot of training for all different roles and positions within the schools. So they have an administrative cohort, a group of administrators that come together. We work with the local colleges to talk about essentially what our needs or projected needs will be. Like, what positions are you really hurting for, to find right now? And then their job is to actually get in contact with New Paltz and Marist and Mount St. Mary's and work to develop programs that are accredited to be able to train folks to do those jobs. So right now there is an administrative cohort, so varying different types of administrators that are being sought in the region for succession planning. Essentially, they're working with districts on things like PPS administrators for special education, a lot of athletic administrators in high demand, I guess, recently with upcoming retirees and whatnot. So that pool has gotten shallow. So they're actually working with superintendents to identify candidates within, to train them and then put them back into the local workforce. And you can see that there's an annual law conference, which is extremely well attended, like 400 and something people went this year. Lots of updates, legal updates every single year. And they use two different firms, Shaw Perelson and also Thomas Donahue, I don't know, Joanne, those people. Both of those firms were there and did presentations. So there's a whole bunch of information included in the document that I shared with the board, the notes from the meeting. Also, Jason Chitalik from Duchess BOCES talked about the Blue Ribbon Commission and the potential changes to graduation measures. There wasn't anything specific that he shared, but that there are things being reviewed in terms of graduation expectations. Also, the topic of substantial equivalency came up. For those that are not familiar, essentially it is the responsibility of local school administration, and then in turn the boards to vet and confirm that the private schools, private and parochial schools within our catchment area, that they are providing substantially equivalent education. And there's a couple of different pathways that they can choose to prove that. Some of it is that they be accredited by another organization, and some of them are. If they are a previously approved private school for special education, that's, you know, one of the pathways. But then there's other work that they might do. There's a lot of action and conversation around this right now because we're in a situation where we have 3, but there are districts in Rockland County that have like 103 you know, small yeshivas kind of thing, and they have to vet all of these programs. So it is one of those things that people are not really sure how they're going to be able to manage this. And also, if it comes back that, you know, the state audits and says, in fact, this school is not substantially equivalent, it's going to be put back on the school districts to right the ship. So our questions are kind of like, well, who is going to do that work? Where are these funds coming from, right? Because we have an administrative structure to support our buildings, not necessarily just to support other schools within our catchment areas. So I'm not sure how the rollout will be going forward, but, you know, the expectation is that by December 9th, we have the information about the pathways chosen by our 3 local schools. So lots of conversations about that. And then general advocacy. I actually went to the Legislative Council through NISCUS on Friday. I'm one of the legislative representatives for the region, and we talked a lot about the zero emissions buses. I mean, just if you think we're in bad shape with that conversation, some of the districts up north, there's just no way. So lots of conversations around that, lots of conversations around you know, APPR and what's sort of next for teacher appraisal and that kind of thing. And basically we spent, you know, the whole time talking about, well, what are our priorities, right? Because if everything is important, then really nothing is important at this point. So we really have to focus on it. So I think we're going to give some energy to the electric bus issue, but understanding that the reality is it's not going to be able to happen. So, you know, we're not going to prioritize it as an issue that we're really going to go after in any great way, because it might just die under its own weight kind of thing. So, I mean, that's it. There's a lot of information in here. If you have any questions, the one important thing is if you're attending next month, please make sure you let Kelly Lappin know, because they will be providing dinner for next month's programming.
Any questions? She does a much better job than I do of giving reports on these meetings. So from now on, she'll be doing them all.
Do we know yet who the faculty or staff paying again for how many meetings are?
We know some of them actually. A couple of the guys in the facilities department are playing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Mr. Mullen.
So happy.
So I don't know the full roster. I just know, you know, like Mr. Gilroy will definitely be playing. I'm sure, Mr. Cabello actually can't be there. He's not happy about that. But I'm sure Mr. Sype will be playing, so there will definitely be.
Did I hear a guy named Luca is actually an employee of the district now?
We're gonna hire him on a special.
That's
contract.
right.
We
2-day
need some help.
contract. All right, very good. Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
All right, Mr. Elliott.
Good evening. So just a couple of touch points. The final audit was received and approved. I do have hard copies if anybody would like one. We have them electronically as well. I think you have it ready. But we do have hard copies in the corner there. If anybody wants, I'll give it to you at the end of that. Just as far as the report goes, the audit was pretty glowing. I think the only issue that we have to deal with because our fund balance management issue, and that was just like, something changed midstream and we were compliant, now we're not compliant, but we're gonna be compliant. And our plan is to allocate additional cash funds to offset our capital expenditures, hoping that we have a positive voter turnout in May. So as long as our voters approve the work, that excess fund balance will go straight to the capital project and bring us back into compliance. Other than that, there was nothing worthy of the audit to require any corrective action on our part. So thank you to the business office and all the ladies that are keeping our accounting very clean and very up to date, making this a very smooth process for the district. Our annual state reports have finally been accepted by the state as well. So all of our accounting reports in tandem with the audit for the 22-23 school year were received and accepted by NICED. So we're ready to start the next wave. We've also been approved as a CTLE sponsor for the next 5 years. So that application was also approved by NICED this past month. Our tax collection season has concluded. We've received roughly over 90% of our projected revenue, closer to 95%. And Ms. Cross, our new tax collector, is doing a great job of making sure we get our money so we can keep the doors open and the heat on and all the wonderful things that we do here. I know we're gonna let John speak to the fire inspection reports. I'll skip over that one. We have had Train come in and work on updating our HVAC controls at the high school. I know there's been some complaints about our ability to control and moderate temperatures at the high school. While it is our newest building, that control system is obsolete. And so graciously enough, our EPC vendor for our capital project has sent their teams in kind of ahead of schedule to start tweaking our process. Should our projects be approved in May, any work that's being done now that would have been done then is going to be charged to the project. So they're holding on billing us until the May vote, which is really helpful for the district. And I just wanted to say thank you to Lauren Hayes and the Train team for sending their technicians out ahead of schedule, just to help us maintain some semblance of operation and help John and his team out. So thank you to John. Our maintenance guys have been in the mix every day that the Train technicians are here. They're learning about controls, about our systems, and we just keep bolstering the talent and abilities of our own staff. Just fantastic. The more work we bring in-house, the better trained our staff and the more money we save. Everybody wins. So thank you to John and his team for really working that problem. And in parallel to that, at the other buildings, we've had some indoor air quality concerns shared. Nothing that is proven to be hazardous or dangerous or cause for concern. There was some suspected mold. It was inspected, it was tested, it was verified to not be any sort of proliferated mold growth in the buildings. John is working with our maintenance staff to tweak our operating standards to preclude the conditions that would foster mold growth. So we're being very intentional about when we operate our equipment and how we operate our equipment during non-occupied hours specifically, to prevent the conditions that would feed into a mold growth situation. So again, a very labor intensive effort because we don't have the right equipment and controls. We're hoping to get them in the next couple of years. But in the meantime, Mr. Mullins and his team are doing it all by hand and they're doing a great job. Anything that comes up is being addressed promptly. Mr. Calandria, our health and safety inspector from BOCES, has been incredibly responsive to our needs. He comes out typically within 24 hours, he's on site, he's doing inspections, he's providing preliminary feedback, and then following it up with a detailed report. So we have one more report that we're waiting for Mr. Calandria. Should be any day. But we have spoken with him and there is no cause for concern at this time. So we're gonna do our best to push that information out to our building leaders and their respective staffs as soon as we get those reports. So that everybody knows what's happening, but we are working very hard to keep our staff and students safe. And I just wanted to give John a shout out specifically for his efforts in that direction. Let's see. I also wanted to just highlight, if you saw on your way into the building, the book sharing boxes that were built and painted by our maintenance staff outside. It's a really cool project. It's great to have an opportunity for our maintenance and custodial staff to do things that are directly student facing, involving the kids themselves and the staff members. So, when our custodians and our mechanics can help foster literacy in the community, that's just a really cool thing to share. And really appreciate the effort and the creativity that went into that. I mean, I saw Albert and Freddie out there really like fine tuning the paint job, really wanting to make it special. If kids get excited about reading, everybody wins throughout the entire district. So the fact that our maintenance and custodial staff are helping with that is just pretty cool, and we wanted to highlight that as well. I'll let you guys read through the rest of the reports. If any questions, please let me know. Just a couple of highlights on technology. We are continuing our multi-factor authentication rollout. We've got 2 buildings, I believe, left to do this week. Mr. Shock in the tech department has been spearheading that effort. No hiccups so far. So what that's doing is that's just like when you go into your online banking and you put your password in and it sends you a code and you have to put that code in or hit a button on your phone, whatever that second factor is. We had a meeting just this morning with one of our security vendors, and they're excited about us being as far along in the process as we are. Really, these extra steps that we're taking makes the difference between cracking a password in a matter of minutes or in thousands of years. I mean, it's literally that much of a leap when you implement this type of a protection plan. So it's not perfect, it's not bulletproof, but it's making the district's network a heck of a lot more secure. And we're making good progress with it. Just as a reminder, for anybody watching at home, our Parent View app is still available. We want to encourage all of our parents and guardians, if you have not signed up with the Parent View app, please check our website, reach out to the help desk. It's easy, very easy, helpdesk@millbrookcsd.org. You can email me or Mr. Kirsch directly. All of our contact information is on the site. As a parent in the district, it's really user-friendly. It's very easy to see what's happening with your kids, to schedule your parent-teacher conferences, to reach out to your students, teachers. So if you have not signed up for it, I would encourage every parent and guardian in the district to please do so. It is a fantastic tool to have at your disposal. And then our big one, like I said, we're very excited about our capital project planning. With the board's blessing, we're going to be putting forth roughly $75 million across 3 propositions in May during our general vote. And so we would encourage everyone to come out and learn about what those are. And I did want to give a shout out to our district clerk, who's not here today, but Ms. Sprague has done a fantastic job of reaching out to local agencies, firehouses, anybody that will host us to come and share the information about our project. So she's already putting in a lot of legwork for that. Our plan is to get those meetings scheduled between January and March to really push a lot of this information to the community. From now till then, the admin team is going to work with our subcommittee to put together those marketing materials. We want to get some nice graphics and informational packets ready to go so that when we get back from our winter break, we'll be able to disseminate that information to the community. Related to that project, I had a meeting with our friends of the gazebo. They had some thoughts and suggestions on how they could help support the district's capital initiative and their own interests as well. So I'm going to be doing some research to figure out, the details of how that, whether or not they're feasible and how that would work. And I'll be bringing that to the board in an upcoming meeting once we figure out if we can actually do it.
Good, thank you, Elliot. Questions?
The support for school food services, what is that?
That is, we continue, and I'll tie that into that, in the personnel section. Our current vacancies and recruitments include food services. So if you know anybody who'd like to work in our kitchens, please have them check our website, that big, beautiful box on the right-hand side. It says, you can click that and get the application information. But while we are shorthanded in our kitchens, our facility staff and even some of our administrators have been donating their time to help out, whether that's cleaning, prepping, serving. I think John has at least 1 or 2 of his staff members helping out in the kitchen every single day. John himself actually is a really, really fantastic lunch server down in Elm Drive. If you're in the area and you want to say hi,
There you go.
But listen, this is one of those things where the entire district pulls together, whether they're custodial workers, managers, administrators. We've got people helping out wherever there's a need. So I just wanted to have a bullet point in there to say thank you to those folks.
Just curiosity, the other morning, there was a news story about, the companies predicting that milk cartons,
Yeah,
the little milk cartons
paper
aren't gonna be
board.
available.
Yep.
And that schools are scrambling to figure out how they're gonna give milk to kids if there's not, if they don't have little cartons of milk. Have we thought about that, looked at that?
So
I mean, I don't know what the heck you can do, but
we have, there's a couple of suggestions actually that they provide, purchasing in larger containers and going back to the cups. I don't know if you all remember a couple years ago, we had the Hudson Valley Fresh machines So, you know, it would be options like that. And, I mean, there's a lot of issues in terms of packaging and whatnot that the food service has been navigating since the pandemic. This just being the newest one, so, so I've been in touch, and I know actually Amy and I over the weekend were reading an article about it. So there are some suggestions of how to get ahead of it, and we're just waiting to see where this is gonna impact us, so.
No, I'm sure you guys, was just curious. It was kind of an out of the blue news story, which is pretty much all news stories these days. Okay. Any questions for Elliot? Okay, thank you, Elliot. John?
Good afternoon, everyone. Just to go over the fire inspection that Cameron was talking about, we got great feedback from the fire inspector. There's no need for him to come back to do a revisit. Since I've been here 4.5 years, he always came back every year with a list of, pretty long. Just want to thank all the principals and all the teachers for applying to fire regulations and that's the flying colors, so that's great.
It's great.
I'm just gonna run over the report, a lot there, I'm just gonna highlight some points and if anyone has any questions afterwards. We decorated all the exterior of each building with full decor. I just want to say thanks to Nancy O'Hara. Came up with the idea, all the principals love it, the teachers love it, got a lot of good feedback on it. I don't know if you noticed outside, there were hay bales and stuff like that. That was a great idea. As part of the safety initiative, facilities department created and disseminated to all main officers maps of each building indicating any new locations, ID door access locations, and lockdown strobe light locations. This way people are aware, teachers, even children, posted right outside the main offices, there's a map with all the locations. So that was a great idea. Also Nancy O'Hara came with that idea, we mapped it all out. We replaced all district lockdown strobe lights, we changed the color from yellow to blue to be code compliant, and had a sign in do not enter when lights are flashing. It's really great. Before it was, you wouldn't even know what the strobe was, and now you can see a big sign out there, it's red and blue, so that was great. The maintenance guys did that, we didn't have to call them the company that does that, we just bought the replacements, we replaced it all ourselves, so. At the high school, we installed a new ceiling hung wheel centric things going on there, it's really good. The middle school installed 9 new mirrors in the 3rd floor bathrooms. So all down the middle, got all new mirrors in there.
But you kept the old ones, right? Just in case.
We also installed 2 additional new fire extinguishers with cabinets as required by code. What happened when they fended these buildings out? They never added fire extinguishers in the hallway, so certain amount of square feet, so we just purchased the cabinets and them up ourselves, and just really code compliant. At Elm Drive, the maintenance department repaired a 3-inch steam line in the crawl space, which was really a really major job. We had a big, like a 1-inch hole on a 3-inch line. So myself and the other 2 guys climbed in the tunnel, all the way down the whole building, got to when it was leaking, clamped it up, squeezed it. Nice. That's
Does that have to be changed and or maintained, or is that
hoping
something?
it's a capital project, that's all gonna be pulled
Gonna be
out of there.
replaced.
So for now, we just sit secure, but
Okay,
as
Yeah.
it should pop up, we're just gonna jump right in that tunnel and deal with it.
yeah, I just don't wanna lose track of, suddenly we have the steam pressure's gone and then we forget that we patched that pipe and, just as long as you got it,
Yeah, we're gonna start making like a routine checking in the tunnels. I'm gonna speak to the principal down there, keep the tunnel doors. Usually teachers put stuff on the tunnel doors, and we need to get to that tunnel in a hurry. We gotta have them, like,
Okay.
nothing on it, so.
Mhm.
But that was a big job. That's really kind of it right now. Anybody else have any questions on any of the rest of the stuff?
If I could just chime in one note, that piping issue, that's happening more and more often. That's part of why the proposal for, our HVAC projects is to fully replace the entire system, including the distribution and return lines, because 60-year-old pipes are just gonna start pitting and leaking, especially with the condition of the water dams. Thank you to John and his guys for keeping us afloat. But to invest millions of dollars and leave those pipes in place is not fiscally responsible. It's just another indication of why our numbers are what they are for the May vote.
All right. Any other questions for John? Come on, somebody's got a torch for John.
I noticed the decorations and they were great. I even commented, I asked somebody, I'm like, where did you come from? It's really nice. So thank you.
Okay, me?
All right, thank you. So I will try to be brief, but just highlighting again, how Laura Fasheen as our communications specialist continues to, collect, we've tried to keep it to 2 stories a week in the Blazer Bulletin, just to highlight different, areas, different buildings in the district, and send those home on Fridays afternoon, in addition to our Millbrook Minute. So really highlighting, trying to hit every facet. So we have the MCSD newsletter, which is a link in there. So those are upcoming events that anybody in the district want to know, different parent evening, things like that. Then we have the Millbrook Minute, which is our favorite video of the week. And then she has her stories that she's written where she digs a little bit deeper into some of the things that are happening around the district. She highlighted the veteran ceremony that'll be happening on Thursday, in addition to interviewing Mr. Carbone and what will be happening, highlighting the senior trip. And part of it, yes, is to absolutely inform our parents, but also encourage our students, because they also receive the newsletter, to hear about happening within their buildings that they might not be aware of. So like, I didn't know the seniors got to go on a trip, because we're trying to build their interest in continuing that. So even for a 9th and 10th grader to read about that, so we can try to build their interest. So I'm excited. We continue to still have a very high click rate, so still at 73%, which is really double the district average or the norm. And she has been taking some individual trainings on the website, so she's slowly doing a lot of stuff in the background. She hasn't flipped anything publicly yet, because she doesn't want to do it and then have it not perfect. She's definitely a perfectionist, so I appreciate that. But it's a slow and steady process. So I really appreciate all that she's doing. But we're really looking at focusing on communication in and communication out. So what aligned with our strategic plan? What are the different ways that we send communication out? And really looking at the 3 tiers, from the district level, from the building level, from the teacher level. What does that look like, and where do you find it? Just from our district homepage. So we're working on a graphic for that. And also she's working on a story for the coming week of what does it look like to have a parent conference, just trying to prepare parents for what those parent conferences can look like. So parents sometimes can get a little nervous, like, I don't know if I should ask a question. I don't know if I should make one. Do I need a conference? So just trying to provide some background in that in a just-in-time way for parents coming up. So I have to say that the service that she's been providing us, I think, is great. We're able to give her the ideas, but then she can go and talk to either ourselves or others to try to get it. And she has that journalistic background that puts together a really nice piece. Caroline highlighted last month, but I just wanted to celebrate the good work of the administrative team with the Millbrook Community Fridge, which was in the Blazer Bulletin last week. They did a really nice article, interviewed the library, and the Rotary had spoken to me afterwards that they were really appreciative of everything the admin team did. I have to say it was like the most selfless thing that you could participate in, and having the opportunity to get to know a few of the individuals, taking food from the fridge, and as I was filling it would ask me good questions and stuff. It just reminds you why this is such a special place, not just to work, but to also live near, if not in. And it's wonderful to be able to give back. And I really appreciated the story, not to highlight what the admin team did, even though I'm really proud of them, but really for our students to see what's happening locally and how you can make a difference, right? So trying to empower that local voice. And I know that the Rotary is working with the Interact Club at the high school for January. So I'm really hopeful that that tradition can continue on. So it was really a great opportunity, and continuing in with that giving back, because it is kind of a bug that bites you once you start feeling that feeling. we've started a spreadsheet, with all of our school psychologists to try to, gather the names of families that may have needs, particularly over the holidays, whether it's with making sure they have, a proper meal at the holidays, or they have gifts under, whatever they celebrate, however they celebrate, whether it's a tree or around a menorah, that they have what they need to be prepared for that, so that we can start doing some purchasing ahead of time for those families. So we're happy to have started that already. So we look to those that work closely with our families to helping us populate that information, so we can do that. As Caroline also mentioned with the teacher observations, this is one of my favorite times of the year, just because I get to have those extended conversations. So we do walkthroughs all the time, and those are really great opportunities to get those quick snapshots of kids seeing you in the classroom, and seeing like the types of things that are happening and the alignment that's happening, but to have a beginning to end conversation and really get to know the decisions that are being made and what's impacting those decisions is great. So I really appreciated the opportunity, P12 went across the district, to start that process, and welcome those continued conversations. Also with our MTSS, I try to provide a brief update each month, and at Elm Drive, we continued, and today Lizzie Hetzer, our consultant, who has specifically been focusing with our teachers on decoding and encoding, was there in the building again today, and the teachers had data, which was really exciting for them to look at as they're making decisions about where this tier 1 intervention is happening with their reading instruction, and making some slight changes to where it initially was going to be in a WIN period, and I think we're moving it back to a word work time, because it is more of a tier 1 intervention. But just being able to give teachers time to have those conversations that are outside of a PD day, it's really valuable for our teachers to do that, to continue to grow in their practice. And I'm sure Mr. Lipko will talk about it as well, but he's definitely shared that his team is working on their WIN time and putting those letters together for families based on some baseline data that they've tried to collect. And that information is being used in Synergy. So I'm excited to see what that tracking looks like. And, I'm sure Mr. Lipka might think differently, but I really enjoy those conversations of saying like, so is it working? Is that intervention working? Not that someone's doing anything wrong, but then what should we do differently instead of continuing to have the student do that? I'm excited to say, and I think this might even be new news for Mr. Lipka, that I applied for a grant for us to participate in a program called Quest, both at the middle school and at Alden Place. It's a grant that will, it's almost like an escape room-ish competition, but it really focuses not on the technology side, but on the conversation, one-to-one, face-to-face problem solving that students have to do. And it can be done in like 20-minute chunks. So like at the middle school, it's possible to do it in like the home base period. It's possible to do it on after school, maybe at the Kindness Club kind of thing, but hopefully we'll get the grant. But I feel like this is one in the conversations I've been having with several parents. The theme is that students are talking to one another. Like a lot of assumptions are happening, or miscues are happening with the social cues and reading those. And I'm really hopeful that this might be a nice way to naturally, but not like a level playing field. It's not around content. It's just kids navigating through this fictitious world that they have to solve a problem like a breakout room. So I'm excited to see how that might work. And the exhausting CPSE, CSE chairperson training, I feel like a badge of courage was earned. I have completed that. It was really beneficial to be part of it. It was an extensive 5-day training. And it was really helpful. I felt that the presenter was really knowledgeable, but it forced me to solidify things that I have had in my practice for many years, but now can say, there's a reason that I do it that way. Very good. So I was really appreciative of the opportunity to do that.
Very good. Thank you, Amy. Any questions?
I just have a quick question about the fridge,
Oh,
the
yeah.
community fridge. Is that, like, can anyone?
So excited to answer that question. Yes, which was the other reason that we had that
Here
article.
comes the winners.
Oh.
Get you back together.
First
Oh, that's
information.
So to answer your question, that was another embedded purpose of that article is that if every family in Millbrook donated one meal every week, they would need 6 refrigerators and the difference that it would make. So it doesn't take you spending like an extra $100. If you have leftovers tonight, you can pack them
Hold
in
on.
a takeaway dish.
Very good. Gilbert showing out again. Good job, guys. Good job.
How do you feel? Smile.
See, now you see yourself up on the screen.
Look at us.
There you go.
Oh, that's wait, why is it so close? I wanna.
You can talk to each other through the Zoom.
Hello,
Yeah.
Christopher.
So what's the next step?
Well, congratulations, girls.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you. Good job. Excellent.
I said hi.
I will.
I'm Serena.
What is this? Getting back to the.
All right, sorry, Amy.
Yeah.
We always pause for fun things.
Absolutely. Yay, wait.
Exactly.
But I wanted to say, getting back to the fridge, I wanted to commend you and the administration for being such great role models
Oh,
for the kids.
yeah.
And yeah,
I definitely believe in right time at the right place, so I'm fortunate that Lynn Granger is a member of the Rotary, and she and I used to work together when I taught in Arlington, so she knew how to tap on someone and say, I need your help. So it was nice for colleagues to reconnect, and I was very happy to work with this team to make it happen, so. It was definitely a community effort. I know my mother-in-law got in on it. My dad was like, I will pay extra and I will get you some more meals. It was like, okay, more takeaway containers, let's go. So
So is it more like a monetary donation? Is it like we can go, you can give us?
you
a
could drop
list
off
of
a
what-
half gallon of milk. Yogurt is really popular. Fresh produce is popular. Cheese sticks were very popular. I made homemade soup, so that was a big thing. I met some people that were vegetarians, so they would always say like, do you have any vegetarian stuff? So then I was like, okay, next month, or next week, what can I bring? So then it was hummus with, some pretzels and, but it was just a variety, and I would, make meals and then I would dole them out in different, containers and put the dates on them and then put them in the fridge. My mother-in-law loved doing meatballs with pasta, but whatever. I also had like, if I was making beef stew and I had an extra amount, I would box it up just for them, and then I would put it in the fridge. So absolutely, it could be what you made for dinner tonight and you had a little bit extra, put it in the dish and just drop it off. And it's open whenever the library is open. So, yeah, it doesn't take 17 dishes, right? One dish. If everybody brings in one dish, they're gonna have many choices to help them. So it's been great.
Very good.
and the supporting our families in need, will information be sent, I'm not talking about names, but will school psychologists or admins, principals send out maybe a list of a wish
So
list
this
of
is really
parents?
just for the admin
Really?
team. We are trying to shop
Yeah,
for the families ourselves. So this is something that
Okay.
the admin team, and I know it was really near and dear to Cheryl Sprague
yeah,
to be part of it. So we certainly don't turn away people that want to help, but this was something we wanted to take on, and we were just trying to get ahead of it
okay.
to make sure that, we could do whatever we could to support.
That's so nice, but if someone wanted to help, who would we contact?
You can contact
Us.
any of the
Okay.
admins.
Any of us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
All right.
Absolutely,
Wonderful.
great question.
thank you.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Tom,
All right, hey, good evening, and so I just wanted to start with STEAM because I didn't have it as part of my report. But STEAM, the STEAM activity took place last Friday. It's a pre-K through 5 event where we experienced a lot of different activities, virtual reality goggles, bending light, 3D printing. There were a lot of building activities, magnification activities, and then various activities where the students were showing their reaction time or coordination, and somewhat in a competitive way. And so it turned into a great activity for the older ones I saw, and I imagine all the way down to the younger ones as well. The cool thing about it was that they brought in new activities this year, along with the old ones. And so it was very worthwhile for us to take part in. And I actually think that the times could have been longer. Each group got 40 minutes, which was plenty, but it just kind of whet your appetite to want to do it more. So, and STEAM, just to rattle it off, stands for the science, technology, engineering. A is arts and math. So, again, it went well. And just so I can highlight some of my information that I shared under curriculum work, I just do want to mention that the math and ELA coaches are really building a good relationship with our staff as they work with them. One activity that I want to mention is that Dr. Sorben, who does the math coaching, she had suggested combining the Eureka math tests and quizzes with the standards, or showed how the standards can be categorized, I guess, through the quizzes and tests. And so yesterday at a faculty meeting, one of our teachers then demonstrated that, and that was pretty exciting to see. And I think the other ones are working with paper, pencil, and those tests so that they could see the connection and made it so much richer for us. New this year in our report card area is that special area teachers, whether the music, art, library, PE, chorus, band teachers, will be giving grades all 4 quarters this year, and they'll be adding comments to those report cards. They haven't had the opportunity to add their own comments prior to this. They were giving comments occasionally to various teachers the homeroom teachers who would put them in. So that's going to be a standard thing this year, you'll notice. Under IXL, I just want to mention something that caught my eye. Just actually, it happened today when I was looking at IXL scores. I looked at the total of questions that were asked already this year. I should have started with last year. We did 450,000 questions across the board at Alden Place. This year we're at 164,000, so in 1/4 of the year. So we have two more days in our quarter, and we're way ahead of where we were last year. As far as number of questions, we'll see if it pans out toward improved scores. Fire inspection, I again want to just emphasize a way to go staff from all 4 buildings. Really showed that they care about that area in our lives. So highlights from my highlights, I do want to say that just one more word about parent view. So Mrs. Rugg in my office has been handing out, not handing out, but answering phone calls with regard to what the activation key is for each family. So you have a unique activation key that's given to your family, and you probably can get that from any of the school secretaries as well. And then helps you with your login that you can do from home. And a shout out to the efforts of our Kindness Club. This is the second year they did that laminated placement activity with these, actually our neighbors on Alden Place. And sure that's going to be well received. Our junior interact group also deserves a shout for that amazing work that they do with writing cards and letters to our area of veterans. And then also over the years, we've had a number of students, not students, a number of soldiers or servicemen and women who we've shown support through the junior interact and helping them out with supplies and so on. And so it's good to hear that that's continuing. And finally, hey, PTO, way to go. This is amazing, the support you've given not only Alden Place, but buildings district-wide. At Alden Place, we recently ran our book fair, supported school pictures, and provided refreshments and volunteers for an after-school movie activity. And so I just want to say, hey, please consider joining the PTO. Thank you.
Very good. Questions for Tom?
Have a couple, but does anybody else? No, okay. For our report cards for parents, will those be found on Parent View or are they going home as well?
So they will be on Parent View. I don't know, do we have the direction yet? Are we having a paper copy for those that aren't on Parent View, I suppose?
It's just another reason for parents to. sign up,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Right,
We're hoping that will be like the reason why people sign up.
Well,
With Parent View, what I noticed was with the report cards is they popped up, but once you X'd out, I couldn't find it again. It was more of a pop-up when the report cards came out. Anybody else
like
notice that?
The progress reports, do you mean?
I had a similar
You
issue.
probably.
Yeah.
The progress. one.
The progress report.
I was able to find it again, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't,
Okay, that's true.
So we can make sure also that we
right,
have
it
that
wasn't in the same
information
place.
And
out.
because I opened it, the other people that are connected to
Yeah.
it didn't get the pop-up. I was the only one that got it. So.
Well, it's good to know.
Yeah,
Food for
It's a
thought.
good trick for them high school students.
Yeah, get there quick.
And my other question was, at the last board meeting, it was mentioned that there was some funding for after-school help with some of the core courses, ELA and math, and I was just wondering.
So
The plans.
other buildings besides the middle school, have looked into it too and have been trying to promote it. I'm hearing rumblings from Elm Drive, but at Alden, we have one person interested at this point. And so we'll be pursuing that.
But it's going to be before school at Alden Place, correct? Not
Yes,
after?
yeah.
It would be.
Would that interfere with like the drama club that's going on?
It would, yes. Somewhat.
Strong as not every day. I don't know if there could be some scheduling. Finessing there.
It feels like every day though. I think she
Right.
said Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday,
so
Wednesday,
about every
Thursday,
day.
most. Yeah. Okay, so we'll hear more about that
Yes.
soon. Okay, thank you.
Cause I was gonna, I had a feeling you were gonna ask more questions than me. That's why I let you go first in case you had the same question. So the after school, cause I know like I had asked about this last year, probably the year before, just because the rollout of like the new math and stuff like that. Is it, and I don't know how much you could say that there's not, there aren't enough staff that will be willing to do it? Is that the issue?
Well, I put it out there for, not volunteers, but people that are interested. And I've only had one person, apply. So I am going to go to various teachers, and see if other ones, would like to do it.
So that one person's available, would want to do it in the morning.
Yes.
That's there. Okay.
And will there need to be a lottery system? As just so many people are interested, like how would that work?
I'm not sure how the middle school rolled it out. In previous years, we've had, somewhat by need. It might be we would invite certain students to, would benefit more.
Just a question on this, the secretary's handing out the keys. How does that work? I mean, I can't just call up and say I'm Tom Lipka's father.
So
Can you
there's
give me a
a-
key?
Oh, I see. For the activation key?
Yeah, I mean, how do they ensure that they are who they say they are?
In the
We know.
past, with the parent portal, you had to bring in your license, so
Oh,
actually.
they can't call and get it.
Well, this is actually the first that I've heard about that, so
Okay.
we'll be having a discussion about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanna be careful that we don't end up, somebody's messing around. But I mean, it also, the more we can make it easy to get, for parents to get on it, so we eventually get everybody on it, that would be great.
And this information has been emailed,
Yeah,
so it's been pushed out. We'll also have kiosks during the day at the parent-teacher conferences and in the evenings. So that would be in person where you can identify yourself to get that information.
Did the initial email have the activation
It
key in
did,
it?
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
But people lose things, it gets caught in spam filters, we wanna make sure we have every opportunity.
and as I said before, maybe you need to do some incentives of, you can't play sports unless your parents have signed up for it. I mean, this is how we communicate, not just their grades, but if they're actually attending school, how many classes they cut, all those things. This should be, I would think, top on our list of, you have to do this if you're going to participate in other stuff or receive other stuff. But you guys
Is there
have
a
better-
way, I wonder on there to say like if you wanted to communicate with your child's teacher, it had to be through parent view?
So
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think we want to make a hard
That might
stance that
be
we're gonna
a good
ignore
incentive.
emails.
Words or
Yeah.
maybe,
Well, that we made a good report card.
yeah.
I mean, the reality also is that we do have equity concerns, right? There are
Yeah.
families that don't have the internet, and we do know that, or don't have a device or reliable internet
Yeah.
access. So we do make provisions for them, like, I think Tom had said, will we be sending them home in paper and we will, of
Yeah.
course, for those that can't otherwise access
Right.
it, but we are looking to have the maximum number of people who can access it on there because it's a really efficient way to get information.
What are you basing your numbers on as far as, because in a lot of houses, one person downloads and everybody uses the same, access point. So I'm just saying, if you're counting, there's 2 kids and 2 parents and there's only,
Yeah, so that's the thing that I had said, and I'm not sure if it was in this forum or in the tech meeting that, so Evan comes back tomorrow, and so we'll have more information. We'll
Okay.
need to get more
it
information
might
about.
look low, but it might not be.
It might
That's
not
fine.
be.
Correct, so if you have children in 2 buildings and you only access 1 key, but can access all of your kids, it's not really that low of a rate,
That's right.
so we're trying to get harder numbers on that.
Can you tell based on how many things have been looked at? In other words, if progress reports were put up for a certain number of students, can you see how many of them were opened?
I don't know what the analytics looks like, Evan would have the best numbers
Yeah,
for
that's the most
that,
important
so.
thing, that parents are getting a message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Prove if they've opened things.
One of the things that we found is that parents are, I guess, both or multiple parents are using the same account or the same.
That's okay.
device.
Right.
Yeah,
So as long as those kids their information is being looked at by a parent, I think
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
but there's also been a challenge with, because our Synergy information links to our notification system.
Mhm.
So what's happening is, for example, like I have an account and I'll just put my wife's cell phone number under me so that we both get the message. And, so we're having conflicts with the data now. So part of our
Yeah.
correspondence going into families is gonna be to encourage each parent and guardian to have a unique profile with their own contact information so that it makes it easier to track these things going forward. And also easier for them to communicate both ways.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, future agenda items, you guys got that. There's a link now in that, under that section to show what we have to do on a regular basis. But that's also where we need to get, like, if there's something you want, in January, you want to hear more about something. The Cheryl will get them in here. Do we have any public comments, questions?
No, I won't have any.
No, nothing here. Okay. We're probably going to go to, executive session. Before we do that, I just want to remind everybody that maybe listening, when we come back from executive session, it doesn't necessarily mean the meeting is over. If we discuss something and we need to take action, we have to take action in public session. So the section I will be the things that we have to deal with when we come back. With that, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So,
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, guys.
Did you?
Does anybody need a break?